Hello everyone, my name is Oishiki. At first I would like to say that please kindly subscribe my channel. So today I am going to read a story from a very special book, that is The Diary of a Young Girl, Annie Frank. Annie Frank is actually a 13 years old girl, and in this diary she has written about her life and how she went into hiding with her father Otto Frank, her mother Edith, sister Maggot, and another family of a tree in silt of room, concealed behind a wooden bookcase in the upper access of the building. Her father worked in Amsterdam. There, she would remain in hiding with the others for 2 years until they would be betrayed and then whisked away by soldiers, by the occupying German forces, a concentration camp, where she would ultimately die of thirst a merry 2 weeks before she would have been liberated along with others by British troops. Had she managed to put herself through the illness? Anne Frank was 15 years old when she died in that Bergen-Belsen concentration camp in the early days of March 1945. Her short young life snuffed out triggily by the workings of a twisted manic ideology. Okay, so now let's begin with our story. June 12, 1942. I hope I will be able to confide everything to you, as I have never been able to confide in anyone, and I hope you will be a great source of comfort and support. Sunday, June 14, 1942. I will begin from the moment I got here. The moment I saw you lying on the table among my other birthday presents. I went along when you were brought, but that doesn't count. On Friday, June 12, I was awake at 6 o'clock, which isn't surprising since it was my birthday. But I'm not allowed to get up at that hour, so I had to control my curiosity until quarter to 7. When I couldn't wait any longer, I went to the dining room where Murji, the cat, welcomed me by rubbing against my legs. A little after 7, I went to Daddy and Mama, and then to the living room to open my presents. And you were the first thing I saw. Maybe one of my nicest presents. Then a bouquet of roses, some peonies, and potted plant. From Daddy and Mama, I got a blue blouse, a game, and a bottle of grape juice, which to my mind tastes a bit like wine. After all, wine is made from grapes. A puzzle, a jar of cold cream, 2.50 guilders, and a gift token for 2 books. I got another book as well, Camera Obscura, but Maggot already has it, so I exchanged mine for something else. A platter of homemade biscuits, which I made myself. Of course, since I have become quite an expert at baking biscuits. Lots of sweets and a strawberry tart from mother and a letter from granny right on time. But of course, that was just a coincidence. Comment added by Anne Frank on September 28, 1942. So far, you truly have been a great source of comfort to me. And so has Kitty, whom I now write to regularly. This way of keeping a diary is much nicer, and now I can hardly wait for those moments when I am able to write in you. Oh, I'm so glad I brought you along. Let's continue. Then Hanley came to pick me up and we went to school. During recess, I handed out biscuits to my teachers and my class. And then it was time to get back to work. I hadn't arrived home until 5 since I went to gym with the rest of the class. I am not allowed to take part because my shoulders and hips tend to get dislocated. As it was my birthday, I got to decide which game my classmates would play. And I chose volleyball. Afterwards, they all danced around me in a circle and sang happy birthday. When I got home, Sanny, little man, was already there. Ilse Wagner, Hanley Gosler, and Jacqueline Van Marson came home with me after gym. Since we are in the same class, Hanley and Sanny used to be my two best friends. People who saw us together would always say, "There goes Annie, Hanny, and Sanny." I only met Jacqueline Van Marson when I started at the Jewish Lyceum, and now she is my best friend. Ilse is Hannah's best friend, and Sanny goes to another school and has friends there. They gave me a beautiful book, Dutch Sagas and Legends, but they gave me volume 2 by mistake. So I exchanged 2 other books for volume 1. Aunt Hanley brought me a puzzle. Aunt Stephanie darling brooch, and Aunt Lenny a terrific book. Daisy goes to the mountains. This morning I lay in the bath thinking how wonderful it would be if I had a dog like Rin Tin Tin. I would call him Rin Tin Tin too, and I would take him to school with me. When he could stay in janitor's room or by the bicycle racks when the weather was good. Monday, June 15, 1942. I had my birthday party on Sunday afternoon. The Rin Tin Tin film was a bit hit with my classmates. I got 2 blue cheese, a bookmark, and 2 books. start by saying a few things about my school and my class, beginning with the other children. Bertie Bowmendel looks rather poor, and I think she really is. She lives on an obscure street in the West Amsterdam, and none of us knows where it is. She does very well at school, but that's because she works so hard, not because she's clever. She's pretty quiet. Jacqueline Van Morrison is supposedly my best friend, but I've never had a real friend. At first, I thought Jackie would be one, but I was badly mistaken. DQ is a very nervous girl who's always forgetting things. So the teachers keep giving her extra homework as punishment. She's very kind, especially to GZ. Yes, talks so much it isn't funny. She's always touching your hair or flirting with your buttons when she asks you something. They say she can't stand me, but I don't care, since I don't like her much either. Headmistress is a nice girl with a cheerful disposition, except that she talks in a loud voice and is really childish when we are playing outdoors. Unfortunately, Henny has a friend named Beppy who's a bad influence on her because she is dirty and vulgar. JR, I could write a whole book about her. J is a detestable, sneaky, snung up, two-faced gossip who thinks she's so grown up. She's really got Jackie under her spell, and that's a shame. J is easily offended, bursts into tears at the slightest things, and to top it all is a terrible show off. Miss J always has to be right. She's very rich and has a wardrobe full of the most adorable dresses that are much too old for her. She thinks she is gorgeous, but she is not. Jay and I can't stand each other. Ilse Wagner is a nice girl with a cheerful disposition, but she's extremely flinky and she can spend hours moaning and groaning about something. Ilse likes me a lot. She is very clever but lazy. Hanneli Gosler, or Liz, as she's called at school, is a bit on strange side. She's usually shy, outspoken at home, but reserved with other people. She bags whatever you tell her to her mother, but she says what she thinks, and lately I have come to appreciate her a great deal. Nanny Van Praxener is small, funny, and sensible. I think she is nice. She's pretty clever. There isn't much else you can say about Nanny. FG. D. Jong is, in my opinion, terrific. Though she is only 12, she is quite the lady. She treats me like a baby. She is also very helpful and I like her. GZ is the prettiest girl in our class. She has a nice face, but is it a bit stupid? I think they're going to hold her back a year. But of course, I haven't told her that. And sitting next to GZ is the last of us 12 girls, me. There's a lot to be said about the boys, or maybe not so much at all. Maurice Coaster is one of my admirer, but pretty much of a pest. Sally Springer has a fifth mind, and a rumor has it that he's gone all the way. Still, I think he's terrific because he's very funny. MLG, born with in GZ's admirer, but she doesn't care. He's pretty boring. Rob Cohen, he's an obnoxious, two-faced, lying, sniveling little wit who has an awful high opinion to himself. Max Van de Velde is a farm boy from the Medemblik, but a decent sort, as Maggot would say. Herman Kopman also has a 50 mind, just like Joppy DeBeer, who is a terrific flit and chaser. Leo Blom is Joppy DeBeer's best friend, but has been spoiled by his dirty mind. Albert de Masquita came from Montessori school and jumped a year. He's really clever. Leo Slacker came from the same school, but isn't as clever. Rue Stoppelman is a short, goofy boy from Almenlo who transferred to this school in the middle of the year. CN does whatever he's not supposed to. Jacqueline's Corsenot sits behind us, next to C, and we, G and I, laugh ourselves stupid. Harry Skurhup is the most decent boy in our class. He's nice. Werner Joseph is nice too, but all the changes taking place lately have made him too quiet. So, he seems boring. Comment added by Annie Frank at a late date. To my great surprise, GZ wasn't held back a year after all. So let's continue. Sam Salomon is one of those tough guys from the rough part of the town. A real brat, admirer. Alfie Ream is pretty orthodox, but a brat too. Saturday, June 20, 1942. Writing in a diary is really strange experience for someone like me. Not only because I've never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that the latter on the neither I nor not anyone else will be interested in the musings of a 13 years old schoolgirl. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing, and I have an even greater need to get all kinds of things off my chest. Paper has more patience than people. I thought of this saying on one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listlessly wondering whether to stay in or go out. I finally stayed where I was, brooding. Yes, paper does have more patience than people, and since I'm not planning to let anyone else read this stiff Beckett notebook, grandly referred to as a diary, unless I should ever find a real friend, it probably won't make a bit of difference. Now, I am back to the point that prompted me to keep the diary in the first place. I don't have a friend. Let me put it more clearly, since no one will believe that a 13 years old girl is completely alone in the world. But I am not. I have a loving parents and a 16 years old sister, and there are about 30 people I can call friends. I have a family, loving aunt, and a good home. No, on the surface, I seem to have everything except my one true friend. All I think about when I am with friends is having a good time. I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary, everyday things. Maybe it's my fault that we don't confide in each other. In any case, they is just how things are. And unfortunately, they are not liable to change. This is why I've started the diary, to enhance the image of this long awaited friend in my imagination. I don't want to jot down the facts in this diary the way most people would do, but I want the diary to be my friend, and I'm going to call this friend Kitty, since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were to plunk right in. I would better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so. My father, the most adorable father I have ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. My sister Margot was born in Frankfurt and am Main in Germany in 1926. I was born on 12 June 1929. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. Because we were Jewish, my father immigrated to Holland in 1933 when he became a managing director of the Dutch Operaka Company, which manufactures products used in making jam. My mother, Edith Hollander Flank, went with him to Holland in September, while Maggot and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother. Margot went to Holland in December, and I followed in February. When I was punked down on the table as a birthday present for Maggot, I started right away at the Montessori Nursery School. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started first form. In sixth form, my teacher was Miss Copernicus, the headmistress. At the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell, because I would have been accepted at the Jewish ensemble where Maggot also went to school. Our lives were not without anxiety, since our relatives in Germany were suffering under Hitler's anti-Jewish laws. After the pogroms in 1938, my two uncles, my brother's brother, fled Germany, finding safe refuge in North America. My elderly grandmother came to live with us. She was 73 years old at that time. After May 1940, the good times were few and far between. First, there was the war, and then the capitulation, and then the arrival of the Germans, which is when the trouble started for the Jews. Our freedom was severely restricted by a series of anti-Jewish decrees. Jews were required to wear a yellow star. Jews were required to turn in their bicycles. Jews were forbidden to use trams. Jews were forbidden to ride in cars, even their own. Jews were required to do their shopping between 3 and 5 p.m. Jews were required to frequent only Jewish-owned barber shops and beauty salons. Jews were forbidden to be out on street between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. Jews were forbidden to go to the theaters, cinemas, or any other form of entertainment. Jews were forbidden to use swimming pools, tennis court, hockey field, or any other athletic field. Jews were forbidden to go rowing. Jews were forbidden to take part in any athletic activity in the public. Jews were forbidden to sit in their garden or those of their friend after 8 p.m. Jews were forbidden to visit Christians in their homes. Jews were required to attend Jewish schools, etc. You couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. But life went on. Jackie always said to me, I don't dare to do anything anymore, 'cause I'm afraid it's not allowed. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill and had to have an operation. So my birthday passed with little celebration. In the summer of 1940, we didn't do much for my birthday either, since the frightening had just ended in Holland. Grandma died in January 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the others, and Grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present date of June 20, 1942, and the solemn dedication of my diary. So our story ends here. In my next video, I am going to read part 2 of Annie Frank. If you liked my today's video, then please kindly like and comment my video. And also subscribe my channel to listen to more such stories and also to follow all my videos regularly. And don't forget to click on the bell icon. Thank you.